right, welcome in to the Pharmacist and the Photog Games, Grooves, and Grub. I am the Pharmacist, Dion Spencer, alongside the Photog, Steve Moss. And, man, we've got, I was making some notes today. We got a laundry list of things we want to ramble on about. So we're going to jump right in, and I thought we'd start, you want to start with UK football or UK basketball?
Take your pick.
Let's go ahead and get football out of the way since I feel like it's going to be a little bit before we get really going in football season. So let's talk about what we got to talk about there. SEC Media Days.
Mark Stoops and three of his players headed to Atlanta last week, met the media. The big takeaway is not a lot of people in the South are convinced that they're going to do any better than what they did last year when they won 4 games, which was the least he's won, I guess, since
his first season.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they were picked 15th, which, if memory serves, is about the lowest they've been picked.
Yeah,
of course, we've added Oklahoma and Texas to the league.
Right.
So there are now 16 teams in the league. But
it's really disappointing when Kentucky's picked next to last and the team that's below them is not Vanderbilt.
Mississippi State.
That's kind of surprising.
Only Mississippi State got fewer votes and it was a poll by the media, so we're not that smart. I'll be the first one to admit. But nonetheless, motivated Mark Stoops
that doesn't seem to impress anybody. No.
And he doesn't like the motivation thing. Yeah. He doesn't like it at all. He said, I'll play along with the media. They're going to have their fun and take their shots.
I mean, did they not see the meme? The bourbon drinking, mean, angry looking? Yeah, I mean, come on. That
I don't know if he's a smoker
intimidating, but anyway.
Yeah, that's my takeaway. They had one player get voted onto one of the All-SEC teams, and guess who it was?
Yeah,
the punter who has a 0 rating in the college football
the toughness
26
scale. Yeah. So Aiden LaRosse. He was picked third team preseason All SEC. So that I thought the irony there was kind of funny. That I thought it was funny. Considered to be not tough, at least by the people in the video game industry.
And maybe that publicity helped him a little bit with when voters are going, who are we going to put on the third team? How about this kid from Kentucky?
Yeah. And like you said, Stoops saying he's not a big fan of the motivated Mark Stoops thing, and they were saying a lot of people were asking questions about him laying low this summer, and he said, I don't know what you guys are talking about. I have not done anything different.
That's not true.
Yeah.
And I like Mark, and I will tell him to his face, but they have purposely not tried to make any headlines.
Yeah.
And I get it. Look, he's on the hot seat. Vegas came out yesterday. He's 20-1 now in terms of Division I football coaches. He's 20-1 in Vegas odds to be fired before next season.
Yeah, I saw some random article today, some talking heads, that one guy had him the number 2 guy in the SEC for the hottest seat.
Yeah, Sam Pittman from Arkansas is definitely a guy who would probably be the first one fired, unless Arkansas has some remarkable season. But
right.
Mark Stoops is definitely on the hot seat. And then we find out through a basketball story, and this will tie us into UK basketball, but there's a story by CBS Sports and Matt Norlander that says that Kentucky is on the verge of allocating 45% of their revenue share to basketball.
Right. And that's been debated pretty hotly the last 3 days now.
Yeah.
And several people have come out and said that's just not true.
Which is the equivalent of $9.2 million, would put them so far ahead of everybody else, because especially in the Southeastern Conference, but because it seems like the going rate, if you listen to the idiot media who voted Kentucky 15th, the going rate in the Southeastern Conference would be that football in this league is going to command at least 13-14 million.
At least.
Basketball, by all accounts, is going to be around $3 to $4 million. So if that number is right, 45% of $20.5 million is the
something.
9.2.
Yeah.
You figure that Kentucky will spend $2 to $3 million on all the other sports, which leaves Mark Stoops in football with whatever's left, which would be probably about $11 to $10 million, which is going to be significantly less than what everybody else in the league is going to be spending. But then word comes out yesterday that there was a ruling connected with the House versus NCAA that collectives now are back in the mix. So, and if you read this story by Matt Norlander, there are coaches that he interviewed who remain nameless who said they don't think anybody is going to adhere to the rules. They're all going to cheat when it comes to the money because, they're all going to be basically paying for players at the highest level at the highest price.
Yeah, it's the same free for all that it's always been. It's just now that the players are actually getting something out of it. I mean, but let's just say we've just elevated the playing field, I guess. It's been going on forever.
And this is a dicey situation for a Mitch Barnhart because football pays the bills for all the other sports.
Because contrary to what people believe, UK football, even though it's not the king,
right,
it brings in more revenue than the basketball team.
Yeah, basketball can handle itself to some degree, but football definitely pays for all the other sports. So it's a dicey situation for Mitch. He's got to get it right. And I'm sure, it's a fluid situation where the first year, he's probably going to have to make some adjustments and come back the second year and go, you know what, we need more money allocated over here. So
yeah,
it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Well, and, just looking at, like you said, it was the media deciding their rankings and everything. But if you're looking at the media rankings, Kentucky is fortunate enough to get 6 of the top 10 on their schedule this season. They get Georgia, Texas, South Carolina, Florida, Ole Miss, and UT, and then you throw Louisville in on top of that.
Yeah, and Texas is picked to win in the SEC. They're also a favorite to win the national championship, and they get them in Lexington. So that'll be fun for Kentucky fans, and it'll be fun because I've never seen Texas live. That'll be fun for me. But
you might need an intern that day.
Yeah, okay. I'll see what I can do. But yeah, it's just we're entering into a phase of college athletics, that it's kind of the wild, wild west. We've experienced a little bit of this, over the last couple of years, but now the schools are actually writing these guys checks.
Yeah, all bets are off right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just don't know what to, what's going to happen. And one of the big concerns, I don't mean to hedge over into basketball, but one of the big concerns is like the Big East Conference, they don't play football. So how does that affect things on the basketball side? Sure. Because you've got a guy like Rick Pitino up there who's sitting in New York City. He could get some hedge fund guy to write him a check for $10 million, and suddenly they're a huge player.
Right. The potential for financial backing for those schools, especially in the New York. I hadn't even really thought about that.
Right.
But that's definitely true. There, you can definitely bring in a lot more players.
Those schools, they've got $20.5 million sitting there, but there's no football to take up more than half of that revenue sharing.
Well, and like you're saying, to kind of, I guess, begin to segue us into a little bit into basketball, the other interesting thing that came out of the interviews last week was, I guess, Stoops, and they asked Stoops about the money being spent on basketball, whatever, and he kind of, unlike the animosity that seemed to be there between he and Cal at the end, he more or less said, I get it, basketball is king at Kentucky.
Yeah, I didn't hear that comment, but
he basically said, the tradition, Kentucky's basketball tradition is what, top 1 or top 2 is what he said.
Yeah.
And he said, we want to keep it there. So
yeah, but you also want to make sure that football is competitive, i.e. you need money to be competitive in this league. So I'm going to be interested to see what happens. Mitch, Media Day is coming up next week, next Friday. and Mitch Barnhart will be talking. So I'm hoping somebody will ask him these questions like, how much are you going to give football? Or, give us some insight into how this is all going to work, because it's kind of fascinating on one hand, but, I'm worried for Mark Stoops.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of feel like those comments about the basketball program are more or less Mark Stoops dialing it back a little bit, realizing he is on a short leash, because I know we've talked about it before that Kentucky can't really afford to fire Mark Stoops because of the buyout.
Right.
But we're also approaching territory where can we not afford it? I mean, to not fire him.
I mean, you look at what happened with Joker Phillips there, when the Vanderbilt game was the game that I think was the icing on the cake, when less than 15,000 people showed up. Probably half of those people were season ticket holders, so those monies were already paid.
Right.
But it's just such a bad look, and plus, those are coach killing situations.
Yeah, I
don't think Mark Stoops has reached that point, but I know there is a very vocal part of the fan base that is like, you know what, we're tired of it.
Yeah, no doubt.
Unfortunately.
No doubt. Well, yeah, so like we said, he talked a little bit about the basketball program, and we got to hear a little bit this week from Coach Pope about the basketball program. They got on the floor, got some real live action against guys that weren't wearing UK blue. Well, they were wearing UK blue, but they weren't on the team.
Right.
They had from all reports, a pretty spirited scrimmage against the La Familia TBT.
They won the first one.
Yeah.
The current Wildcats won the first one.
Yeah.
They got beat the second time because I think La Familia finally was like, you know what, we can't go out here and let these young pups embarrass us.
Yeah.
But, yeah, to your point, Pope talked for about 35 minutes, and he had a lot to say. Thinks they have a very dynamic backcourt, and I think a lot of people were worried when he didn't sign another point guard, or what would be perceived as a backup point guard, and he basically said that Owe Chandler and Jasper Johnson would fill that void, and he was very comfortable with any of the three backing up Jalen Lowe. So, and he said any of those three guards can get anywhere on the court that they want to go, and that's how he said that they would tend to play this year. Would be they would make plays off the bounce because these guys were so athletic and so good with the ball in their hands, and he said that's how we're going to live all year, is in this space.
Yeah, I mean, and talking about those guys, Jalen Lowe and Otega Owe, at least in that first game, were considered to be the standout players for Kentucky, which you would kind of expect. I mean, they're probably the two guys with the most experience. And the other thing, Pope was saying that he didn't feel like the defense was anywhere near where he wanted it to be, but you also have to realize that the primary number one enforcer is not on the floor right now. You have to think that Quaintance is going to be, one of the keys to that defensive line.
But even still, you don't want Jaden Quaintance to be the end all be all, because that means that guys are getting beat out up front, which is what happened a lot last year. And I was the one who was, barking that Mark Pope needs a defensive coordinator, because he didn't have great defenses when he was at BYU, and his defense last year wasn't great. But given that he's got a little more athleticism, maybe these guys can stay in front of some dudes this year. He did say, as you mentioned, that they've got a long way to go and they're not game ready defensively. And he said their defensive field goal percentage must improve. In other words, they've got to start holding teams to a lower field goal percentage. And he said they're willing to blow up practice now if they don't give 100% on defense. And he said they've already stopped practice some already this year just to get a point across.
Yeah, I'm not sure to what extent like official stats were kept. I'm sure the Pope's assistants were really looking at things, but they said that early on La Familia was running at about a 1.8 point per possession
Yeah, I did hear
clip. So that's not what he wants. He obviously
That's
wants
a lot
that.
of
He wants
points.
that cut down, especially on a team that likes to get up quick shots themselves. In Kentucky, you got to think, well, if we're not hitting, that's going to give the other team that many more opportunities. So if they're scoring on most of those opportunities, then yeah, that's not a good thing. Coach Pope also gave a brief update on, I guess, the last guy who is not on campus at this point, which is Andrea Jelovich from Europe. And I didn't really understand what his situation was, but apparently he's been still taking classes over there.
Said they just got the transcripts.
So hopefully that'll get him. But then there's still like some hurdles and legalities and I guess rules.
Yeah, because international students, I think they have to have a baseline class work situation when they get here. So it sounded like he needed to be in summer school.
Yeah.
So he's missed that part of it. I don't know how you advance him past that so that he's eligible. But, things have a way of working out.
Yeah, go back in my day when they somehow managed to get Rodney Dent eligible when he hadn't been eligible at a dozen schools.
Yeah.
Before that. But I think we'll be all right. I think Jelovich will get. I think he'll get cleared. But.
He did call out a couple more guys that I would mention. He said Cam Williams is better than he expected, and the guy gives 100% at everything he does. And he said that he just does everything you ask. And I don't know if you saw it, but next year's some of the mock drafts, he's already been projected as a top 10 pick.
Wow,
which is pretty crazy. Your guy, Malachi Marino, he said there are days that he looks like he's NBA ready now. And then there are other days, as you can imagine being a true freshman, that you would think he's never played basketball before.
Yeah.
Jasper Johnson, who finally got on campus after his summer with USA Basketball and the U19 team that won the gold medal in Switzerland, he said that he wanted to remind everybody that guys who have played on that team, 60% of those guys who were even invited to tryouts are drafted in the NBA. So that sounds pretty good.
Well, and Jasper didn't just go over there with the team. He played.
Yeah, he played.
And
he didn't average a lot, but he was on the floor a lot. I think he was a little undersized maybe, but
probably so.
But there were, you could tell the athleticism. He really surprised me with his 3-point shooting, and I saw him play at Woodford County before he transferred into the other league in Atlanta, and he's 6'5". He can get to the rim, so he didn't show a lot of that shooting in high school when he was here in Kentucky. And then Braden Hawthorne, he said, has been impressive. He's long and lean, and he reminds everybody of Tayshaun Prince. So
there's nothing wrong with that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's exciting to see. I feel like we got a few guys on this team who are definitely going to be here a couple years, hopefully 3. And just have time to develop.
Yeah.
Which would be fun.
I think you definitely are going to see guys stick around. For one.
Now
they're
money.
Getting paid as probably more than they would get if they were a late first rounder or a second rounder or free agent. So
right.
that I think the days of the one and done, unless you're just a Cooper Flag type, I don't believe. I believe these guys are going to stay in school a lot longer.
Yeah, those guys.
Maybe another year. I won't say a lot longer. Not 4, but maybe 2.
Right. Absolutely.
Because you got to get on that clock. You got to get on that NBA clock contract-wise, because it's not the first one you sign. It's the second and the third.
Yeah,
just ask Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Exactly. Those guys are making just ridiculous money right now. So sticking with basketball, we're speaking of the scrimmage, the basketball tournament, TBT, La Familia, after Louisville got knocked out, I was kind of pumped thinking, okay, we may be in good shape, but I didn't watch the first game that they blew out somebody. I don't know who that was. And then the second game, I watched a pretty good chunk of that, and you and I went back and forth via text about the fact that they just didn't have when you didn't have Willie Cauley-Stein in there, you didn't have a lot of rebounds.
Yeah, I didn't like the way this team was constructed, and that's no shot at Twanny Beckham or Sean Woods, the coach. Twanny Beckham played at Kentucky, the general manager. they didn't have any wide bodies like they had last year. I didn't think they had a lot of rebounding, a lot of perimeter guys, which is fine. They still had 6 or 7 dudes that played in the NBA, which I think was most in the TBT.
Right.
But yeah, War Ready, which is the Auburn alumni team, had a couple of VKU guys on that team one who played at Auburn. They just I hate using the word out physicaled or outside, but they had the Kentucky guys on the in a size advantage, and I thought had it not been for some timely 3-point shooting from Archie Goodwin and Deron Lamb and some guys like that, Kentucky. I keep saying Kentucky.
Yeah.
La Familia.
Yeah.
They probably would have gone out in that game against War Ready.
Yeah.
But somehow hit a shot at the end there, the Elam ending.
Which,
do you like that or not?
I hate that.
I don't like it
I
either.
hate it.
There's way too many like game winners for me.
Just play the game.
And and it cuts off about 4 minutes of the game.
There's a clock.
Yeah.
Play to the end of the clock. If you're still tied, hey, here's an idea. Let's go to overtime like we've always done it for 100+ years.
Right.
I do not like the Elam ending. I think Archie Goodwin had his first career assist in that game.
You are not an Archie fan,
no,
are you?
Archie, he resides squarely in my top 1 least favorite players of all time at UK. I said back in the day, I had just gotten on the social media bandwagon, I think in that 2000, was that 12, 13 or whatever?
Somewhere.
So I just gotten on Facebook, and like most people, I thought I was extremely witty, but I offered to come help Archie Goodwin pack his bags and go to the NBA because he was so sure that he was.
He's still playing professionally, so
yeah. Well, I was I was just never a fan, and
albeit he's playing in China.
Yeah, exactly. Also, basketball. What do you think about that pay discrepancy
Here we go.
in the WNBA? Since I'm on a bandwagon,
we're not going to win this argument.
No,
we're just not.
I
will go on the record and say I am not a fan of the WNBA. Right. I'm not. I'm just not. It's not fun to watch. I think Caitlin Clark has done wonders for that league, and therein lies a problem.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, absolutely not. I completely agree. I mean, I thought about this the last couple of days, and I've watched a little or tried to watch. I can usually stick with it for about a quarter. I could pick out 3 players in the WNBA. I
only know one.
I could name 3 players in a lineup.
I'm glad you can name
those
3.
would be Brittany Griner.
Okay, I forgot about her.
I could pick out, obviously, Caitlin Clark, and I could pick out Angel Reese.
I can pick out Sophie Cunningham.
I couldn't do that. The only reason I can pick out Angel Reese is because I started watching college basketball, women's college basketball.
When she was at LSU.
When she was in these battles against Caitlin Clark.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not a racial thing for me. If you're a great basketball player, I mean, I've spent my whole life watching Michael Jordan, but give me a player that brings my eyes to the game, which Caitlin Clark has done.
Yeah, and
made
record
me
numbers.
Want to watch a little bit of WNBA basketball. I will watch it a little bit, and I just can't understand why these other players. It's just pure jealousy.
I do believe some of it is racial.
Oh, absolutely.
I do.
It's a.
And you're going to call me. People will call me sexist, but I will tell you, I have 2 daughters.
Same. I'm a girl dad.
So it's just not good basketball.
No.
There are plenty of men's games that is not good basketball.
Right.
I see a lot of it on Saturdays when I have to actually cover it.
Yeah.
But I just feel like I especially can't watch the WNBA now because it pisses me off to watch. The only games that are on TV are the Indiana Fever with Caitlin Clark, and they're just mugging her.
Yeah.
Because they want to mug her.
Yeah.
Because we'll show you. How dare you show up?
Yeah.
That's BS.
Yeah,
I'm out.
To me, you've got
I call
got a
it clicker
player,
video.
We're old enough to remember when the NBA was arguably on the verge of collapse.
Yes.
And Magic Johnson and
Larry
Bird
saved
came in and saved the league.
And then Michael Jordan was riding in on the coattails, and suddenly Madison Avenue has stars to promote.
They drew eyeballs to the game and got people interested. And I'm not even coming close to saying that kind of explosion is going to happen. But if you have a chance of even making your league break even, I'm not saying make a profit, because they're saying they want to get paid what they deserve.
Yeah, they wore T-shirts at the All-Star Game saying, "Pay us what you owe us."
Yeah, well,
Excuse me?
you are owed an invoice from the NBA.
What people don't realize is the NBA subsidizes this league and has since its inception.
Yeah.
Last year, they lost almost $10 million.
Yeah.
And yet the NBA props them up.
Yeah. Yeah, they have never – that's the closest they've ever come to making a profit, and they still didn't get there.
Don't put the WNBA on the stock market.
Yeah.
Because there ain't a soul going to buy it.
Nobody's going to buy it. I just – and like I said to you in a text this week, if I'm the – and I don't know – I'm not saying bend the rules for her, but – if I'm the commissioner of the WNBA, we got to have a come to Jesus meeting about how Caitlin Clark is treated, because you don't have to like her if you're another player in the WNBA, but you've got to be smart enough to understand what she can bring to your league,
checkbook,
what she can bring to your paycheck.
That's right.
I could go on and on about why this is just so ridiculous, but.
And even after the All-Star Game, which I did not watch, by the way,
I didn't either.
I saw some clips and some reels. You've got people showing up in the post-game situation, and they're just bashing her.
Yeah.
They didn't even have to say her name. They're just bashing the fact that she has taken that league by storm. She has brought so many little girls into the realm of either paying attention to the WNBA or becoming fans. And like you said, it's just going to help everyone's bank account.
Right. Yeah, you don't have to go out to dinner with her on, Saturday afternoon. You don't have to do that.
Don't tell me pay me what you owe me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Right now you're lucky.
You'll be working at McDonald's.
Yeah. I just feel like some of these
and
players,
I'm not a sexist.
Yeah,
It's just bad basketball.
Yeah, it boils down to straight economics, and the quality of the product.
Yes,
is just not there.
They're cutting their own throat.
I watched a professional pillow fighting league.
I did
on
see
ESPN
there was
the other
such a
night.
thing.
Yeah,
like the slap league.
Yeah, the slap league, cornholes on TV now.
I'm sorry.
Those things are arguably at times more entertaining than the WNBA.
And I don't want to watch any of that.
Yeah. Pillow fighting was pretty cool though. I did like that. I once knocked a kid out in my cabin as a junior counselor with a fairly loaded feather pillow. Got him with a spinning back pillow, so he never saw it coming.
Oh my gosh.
All right, we'll switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about golf. There's talking about somebody dominating the scene,
and he doesn't get his just due.
No,
he's
not controversial.
Well, he went to jail this time last year.
That's true. Yeah, he got thrown in jail in Louisville. We're talking, of course, about Scottie Scheffler, who over the weekend won his fourth major, second of the year. He took the 153rd Open over in Northern Ireland. Shot all 4 rounds in the 60s. He was just, when he got within a stroke of the lead on the first day, I told some guys that I work with, I said, should we go to, I said, I'm not a sports bettor. Steve is. He would know.
I didn't bet
on day one. I started asking the guys that I work with who are sports bettors. I said, can we go right now to FanDuel or whatever and go ahead and bet Scottie?
You wouldn't have gotten
this?
good odds on it. Everybody's betting on Scottie.
Yeah, especially when he gets, within sniffing distance.
He's the number one ranked player in the world for a reason.
But the interesting thing that I thought, so this was this Open win was his 10th in a row where he's been the 54-hole leader.
Yes.
So for the 10th straight tournament now, he's been the 54-hole
Which
leader.
is a lot.
And but to put it in perspective,
yes. He trails.
He only has to do that 27 more times to tie Tiger Woods.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you, people want to, it's the same debate with LeBron and Michael Jordan.
Who's the greatest?
There's a difference in like killer instinct. Now I'm not saying Scottie doesn't have a killer instinct, because he appears to have that. He's just much more laid back and subtle about how he goes about it.
And to dovetail what you're talking about, prior to the Open starting, in one of the first press conferences where the guys, after they finished a practice round, Scottie went on about a 10-minute soliloquy about how golf doesn't fulfill him. And people are scratching their heads going, how can the number one player in the world talk about how golf is just not fulfilling? And basically he was saying, look, we go out and we have practiced all our lives to be the best golfers we can be. And then you go out and you play in a tournament like the British Open, and you win it, and you're standing there holding your trophy, and then the next day it all starts all over again. You have like 24 hours to enjoy it. And it goes on your resume, and people are always going to remember you as, he's won 2 Masters. He needs the U.S. Open to get his own Grand Slam, and I think he will.
Oh, yeah.
But he would prefer being a family man. He likes being a dad. He likes being a husband. Hell, he talked about going on the other side of town to a fast food place where he walks in and people don't know who he is.
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about, how, golf is just a mechanism. It's his platform, but he would rather it not be, oh, look, it's Scottie Scheffler. He just wants to be Scottie, dad, husband. And, oh, by the way, I'm pretty good at golf.
Yeah. I mean,
and I appreciated listening to all that.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about it is it's interesting to hear him say that, because I think you could probably talk to 100 people who are relatively satisfied with what they do for a living, and every single one of them, or almost every single one of them, would say, but there's something else that I really enjoy more than how I bring home the bacon every week, that kind of thing. So yeah, it's really interesting to see his mindset and how he goes about this. And I kind of feel like over the long haul, he could, it's hard to say. I mean, what could happen with injuries and that kind of thing, but his mindset, man, he doesn't have that secret life underlying him like Tiger had.
That's right.
We talked a little bit this week about his caddy. His caddy, Ted Scott.
We're talking about Scottie.
Yeah.
Scottie's caddy.
Yeah, Scottie's caddy, Ted Scott, would currently be surpassing the average PGA Tour earnings. He has made almost $2 million
thanks to Scottie.
Season, thanks to Scottie.
Yeah.
And I said the nice thing about that for Ted Scott is he doesn't have to worry about his guy going out and partying on the weekends and chasing tail. And so he's got to feel like, hey, I got a pretty good gig going here.
Well, yeah, 2 things I immediately think of. We all reach a point in our lives, I can't speak for you, but I can for me, where I'm of the age now where my kids are grown and have their own kids. My legacy is them.
Right.
Not that I was good at my job.
Yeah.
I'm sure Scottie loves the fact that all that hard work has paid off. But at the end of the day, he just wants to go home and be Scottie Scheffler.
Yeah.
The family man who has created a good living for his family. And the other thing is, I think that mindset you're talking about, where he is not possessed, like golf is not the end all be all. I actually think that will allow him to be, when it's all said and done and his career is over, you look back and go, he was he might be on the Mount Rushmore of golf.
Yeah, very possible. I
because he's headed that way.
Yeah.
He becomes the 4th player ever to win $90 million in purse. So Tiger, Rory, and Phil.
Yeah.
are the other 3, and he's the 12th golfer to win 4 majors before the age of 30.
Yeah. And he right now is one of only 3 active players with 3 legs of the Grand Slam. Well, actually, he is the 3rd. Spieth and Mickelson are the other 2 right now that have 3 legs of the Grand Slam.
Phil's not going to win it because he's out there, paying off debt,
losing his mind.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, so it was pretty cool. I mean, I early on I had been kind of indifferent about Scottie, but I've always been the kind of person who is just a sports fan in general. I like watching somebody dominate, and sometimes it's not necessarily the player I like a whole lot, but in this case, it's a good guy.
Well,
or you at least feel like he is.
Tiger we saw coming because as a kid, he was a child prodigy.
Yep.
I mean, he was on the Donahue show or the Mike Douglas show or, whatever all those shows were. And then he had such an outstanding career at Stanford. He he's won every tournament, every big tournament imaginable.
Yeah.
So we saw Tiger coming. And the thing about Tiger was, with the equipment that he was able to use versus Jack and some of those other guys, he was hitting the ball so much longer and farther than anybody else that golf courses around the world lengthened their holes because of one person. We didn't see Scottie coming.
No.
He didn't have that kind of a college career. What was it, at Texas?
Yeah.
We didn't see that kind of, that kind of star coming at us. And he toiled for a couple years on the, on the minor tours. And then suddenly he makes it to the PGA Tour, and who is this guy?
Yeah.
He came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And it helps that Tiger was on the serious decline, and Scottie suddenly, became this meteor.
Yeah, he's fun to watch. That's
He
for
is.
sure.
He's very
I
good.
guess we've got, with the end of September, we've got the Ryder Cup coming up.
And he's already made that team.
Is it Bethpage, I think, in New York? I know it's in New York.
Black.
Yeah. So that'll be a whole lot of fun. I'm not crazy about what looks like to be the makeup of our team right now. I don't know. There a lot could happen between now and then as far as the shuffling of the team.
I think the captain should have a lot more say in.
Yeah, there's because
but I know they're being politically correct.
There are a few guys right now who are kind of locked into a spot, really.
Yeah.
Who I'm kind of like,
your
I don't
guy
know.
DeChambeau.
And I almost, and as much as I am not a fan of Bryson DeChambeau, I would almost rather have him there than JJ Spawn.
Yeah,
because I feel like at least Bryson is battle tested. He knows how to go out and win in the face of some pretty serious competition.
The stage is not too big for him.
And
for a
who
guy
knows?
like him.
JJ Spawn could come out there and just blow us away. I don't know, but it worries me that we've got a handful of guys like JJ Spawn that I'm kind of like, I'm not crazy about. Anyway, we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think Scheffler will be, Mr. Rock Solid. I would hope.
And just to touch on golf, to finish golf off, the ISCO was here last week, and our guy Josh Teeter didn't have the greatest week. He started out pretty well.
Yeah, played well first day. And then it just didn't happen for him. Finished 40th, tied for 40th, made $16,500. Well, and
so that's not bad.
I'll be the first to stand here and eat my words, because I said that they would, having seen that course, I said they would shoot 30 under.
-10.
And, after day one, when somebody shot 9 or 10 under on day one, I said, here you go. This is what's going to happen.
Right.
And I don't know if a lack of rain or
I think they let the greens dry out. And
the greens are tiny over there. So I think a combination of those things. But yeah, so 10 under ended up being the winning score, which was
and former UK golfer JB Holmes didn't make the cut. And I had said that I read somewhere that in an interview he said my game is coming around. So I don't think it's come around far enough yet.
To see him.
And there's another guy who just wants to be at home.
Right. Yeah. He said that's why he's not playing.
I don't want to miss 30 weeks out of the year.
So and I think as a golfer, you almost have to be. You got to. It's your job. you have to be willing to put the time in.
True.
To make it happen. So, real quick shout out to my good friend Roy Davis, his son Evan Davis, who I've known since he was just a baby. He scored his first pro win on the G Pro Tour in Virginia last week, playing the River Championship on the Pete Dye River course. And we're talking about the ISCO in Louisville being played on a course that was barely 7,000 yards. These guys were battling it out for
almost
a top
$8,000
prize of $18,000 on a course that played right at 7,700 yards.
Almost 8,000.
Big boy golf. I mean, it had a course rating of 77 and change, a slope of 145. And if you're a golfer, you know the higher those two numbers get, the more difficult those golf courses are. But yeah, Evan played really well. Ended up 9 under, had a 2-stroke win down there. So it's really cool. He's a local kid, went to LCA, then went on to Belmont. He was the 2021 and 2022 OVC Player of the Year. He won the 2021 OVC tournament. I got to go watch that. It was on another big boy course, the Shoals course down in Alabama. Can't think of it's part of the Robert Trent Jones Trail. But yeah, it was a big one. But 2-time NCAA regional qualifier. But I can't say enough good things. Much in the same vein as Scottie Scheffler, just being a quality human being.
Mm-hmm.
Evan is that, and I can only hope he gets on a little hot streak and maybe make some inroads on like the Corn Ferry, and just that's the thing about golf, man. You got to get hot at the right time, get a few people to get some eyes on you, then you get a couple of sponsor exemptions and that kind of thing, and get to play in some events that otherwise you might not make it into, and hope that you get hot and can keep it going. So congratulations to Evan Davis from Lexington, and hopefully he'll keep it up. But what else we got in sports? Anything?
Baseball, Major League Baseball. Yeah. I am ticked off because of how the All-Star Game ended.
Was it penalty kicks, right?
Yeah, it was penalty kicks for baseball. They had a home run swing off. And the thing of it is, the best home run hitters in the world weren't even involved, because guys like Aaron Judge and some other ones, once they're lifted out of the game, they're free to leave.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah. I didn't watch it. I watched a little bit of the home run derby, which also doesn't include the best home run hitters.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. I mean,
yeah.
You've been swinging for fences, up to this point for 3 months, so I'm okay to have one day off. But yeah, so they go into that last inning tied. They go extras, and what do? They roll an L screen out there with a coach who's throwing BP, and we're taking swings. I'm like, this is BS.
Yeah, I'm
Kyle
glad.
Schwarber hits 3. And they go down as official. I thought I read somewhere that they go down as officially as home runs in the game.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
That's nuts.
I'm
out.
Got some guy who has marginally more arm speed than me out there throwing them balls, and they're just jacking them over the fence.
Crazy.
Yeah, to me that's just like that Elam ending in the basketball games.
I'm too much of a traditionalist.
Yeah, I mean, do they still? I mean, I don't watch enough baseball to know, but in like a certain point in extra innings, are they putting a guy on second base?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's absurd.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely ridiculous. I want to see the 19-inning game when you've got the third-string catcher coming in, lobbing 40-mile-an-hour, ephus balls.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. That's how I want to see the game end. And
to Major League Baseball's credit, they did have one heck of a tribute to Hank Aaron. Instead of doing Take Me Out to the Ball Game after the 6th, they did this whole tribute to Hank Aaron, and it involved putting video on the turf. So
it filled up the entire
it was awesome.
Field.
It was
pretty awesome. That part was
one
cool.
of the best things Major League Baseball has done in a long time.
Yeah. So outside of the ending the game with penalty kicks, we don't like that. I think we've beat sports to death.
Yep.
Best we can for the time of year when there's really not a whole lot of sports going on.
We'll probably catch 50 kinds of heck for it, but
we had all kinds of we I mean, I'm not
so popular opinions.
I'm not afraid to bash some things that need to be bashed. So
I'm with you.
So we'll move on to music. Of course, the big news in music happened yesterday, and that was with the passing of Ozzy Osbourne, which I was kind of surprised.
I
I was
was
shocked.
too. But leave it to Ozzy to make to make an appearance like he did 2 weeks ago, and then exit stage left like he did yesterday.
Right. I mean, granted, I know that from all the clips we've all watched of the Back to the Beginning tour, finale concert, whatever you want to call it. He looked bad because he was seated and he obviously wanted to get up and do his thing. But I thought for the most part, I thought he sounded really good.
Yep.
I didn't think he looked like he was on death's door.
No.
So, who knows?
I've heard some conspiracy theorists say that he and Sharon had a exit plan. Hinting around at suicide. I am not going there. I know the guy was not in the best of health. The Parkinson's was bad enough that he couldn't get around. A lot of that was he had a severe back injury when he crashed an ATV. I don't know, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
He's had like 4 back surgeries, but now with the Parkinson's, he can't walk or couldn't walk. I don't know. The timing is curious, but it's also very sad that just 2 weeks ago we saw him doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean,
he wanted so badly to go out like that with the 3 other guys from Black Sabbath, the original band. They were called Earth before they signed a deal and changed the name to Black Sabbath. But yeah, he's one of those guys. He's an icon.
Right.
It's hard to say that people adored him, but he's just he's a kind of a curiosity in the sense that, he had this rough and tumble early years with Black Sabbath. He got fired from the band because of his drug use. He's probably better known because of his drug use than anything else.
Yeah.
But then he found a second life with going out on tour by himself. He did the reality shows. He was a pitch man, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
He did, endorsements, commercials on TV.
Well, and just
the guy's made almost $300 million.
Yeah, in the last 24 hours, you've got all these people coming out, and I had always heard too. They said you've got Ozzy, the stage persona,
Yeah.
and then you've got the Ozzy who you would see outside of the performance realm, and to a person, they all say you couldn't have met a more gentlemanly person than Ozzy Osbourne, which is just it's diametrically opposed as far as what you think about somebody. But artists saying he would always ask about my family, he would always ask how I was doing and things like that. He wasn't concerned about himself, but instead genuinely wanted to know how you were doing, that kind of thing. That seems to be a underlying theme from what I'm reading anyway.
Well, I texted you earlier today because I remembered that Ozzy, he had 2 reality shows. One was the Osbournes with he and Sharon and the 2 kids. Yeah. He's got 6 kids,
Not all of them chose to participate in the reality show.
But Jack and Kelly were on the show. Then he also had Ozzy and Jack's Detour, which I thought was very clever.
Yeah.
Where they rode around in a Winnebago, basically, touring the country and shooting a show. I remembered from that show that they made a stop in Kentucky. Specifically, they went to Transylvania University, Transy, because Transy has a medical and science museum that is full of oddities.
Yeah.
And Jack even said on the show, because I dialed it up, I had to dig around and find it, but Jack even said this is the kind of stuff that would interest Dad. And it was just some bizarre stuff. But my point to bringing all this up was you see a side of Ozzy that you don't see with the rock star. You know what I mean? The interaction with his kids and his grandkids and stuff like that. So to your point, yeah, I mean, the guy was a living, breathing human being outside of being, this stage persona of somebody who allegedly bit the head off a bat.
Which is probably why he wanted to stop at Transylvania University
Because
they do have a bat as
yeah.
their logo.
But yeah, it was just it's all very interesting. He part of his trip through Kentucky, he stops in Louisville. He wanted to see the gravesite of Colonel Sanders because he loves fried chicken. And then Jack took him to a restaurant over there that did hot fried chicken. But during that stop, it wasn't on the show. It's on a separate video. He entertained an audience of kids called the Louisville Leopard Percussionists.
Oh, I remember that.
And they, on their xylophones and drums and all these various percussion instruments, played Crazy Train.
Yeah.
And he and Kelly and Jack were blown away, so much to the point it wasn't referenced in this video clip, but Ozzy gave him $10,000.
Yeah,
he cut him a check for $10,000 because they were so sweet and they sounded so good. And this one kid at the very end, this is how the video ends. This one kid, and he probably was like 7 or 8, my grandson's age. He walks up and he goes, "I'm really a big fan, even though you don't think I'm old enough or whatever." And Ozzy goes, "Just make sure you continue to practice." And he said, "I will."
Yeah.
And
Ozzy
Ozzy having a moment there.
I had totally forgotten about that video. That
the
video
Leopard
went
Percussionists.
viral. That was pretty cool. That's definitely one to look up because it was a lot of fun to watch those kids play it with conviction.
Yeah. and going back 2 weeks, the Back to the Beginning concert made like $180-190 million, and he gave it all away.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned this before, nobody got paid.
Yeah.
But he donated all that money to
I think it went
charities
to
and a
research.
hospital
Yeah.
there in Birmingham, England, where he had a house and where he was from, where the whole band was from.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine, who I think I mentioned, is going out on tour with Drake. Their kind of home spot right now is Birmingham, England. And there's a bridge in Birmingham called the Black Sabbath Bridge, and it's got four busts, head busts of the members. And he just put a picture on Facebook yesterday.
That. Yeah, I saw that.
Of all the flowers and remembrances for Ozzy. I thought that was very cool.
Yeah, it's
what a time to be in Birmingham.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely an icon. When you look at just truly legendary, and I just don't think there are that many artists out there right now. Like I think about our kids and grandkids.
Yeah, it's definitely the end of an era.
There aren't too many artists out there.
Metallica's still going.
Metallica's still going, but even if you look at more contemporary modern music for our kids, obviously Taylor Swift, an icon.
Yeah.
But you go a whole lot deeper than that, it's like, who are we looking at here that is going to have that kind of impact? Now, who knows? Down the road, we may look back on certain artists and say, yes, they had an incredible impact. But man, it's hard to find an artist who basically birthed a entire genre of music like Black Sabbath. So very sad. But I'm sure and the other interesting thing, and I thought about after this, was that like with Prince, Prince reportedly had a vault in his house that had depending on the things you read,
they're about to put one out.
As many as 8,000 unreleased tracks.
They're about to put one new one out.
I feel pretty confident that Ozzy didn't have 8,000 unreleased tracks. But his estate and Sharon, they'll probably release a bunch of fancy box sets and things like that coming up.
I think they got married in like 84. She's his second wife.
Yeah.
But a lot of people point to her as she was the business person in that relationship, and she made him a lot more money than he ever would have imagined, because a lot of it was going into his body.
Well, and I was going to say she probably kept him alive a lot longer than he would have.
That's what I'm saying.
Otherwise,
he was
for sure, and made him more successful, no doubt. But anyway, so the Back to the Beginning concert was kind of an awesome way to be at a concert. A not so awesome way to be at a concert would be if you're cheating on your wife
That's a good segue there,
At
Hoss.
the Coldplay concert.
That was a cold play on your part.
Ooh, man, I mean,
First of all, could Chris Martin have asked for anything better? I mean, had you heard from Coldplay in 10 years?
Coldplay anymore. Coldplay, they're venturing into Nickelback, Creed territory.
No, they're not even. Don't put Nickelback down like that.
Well,
Coldplay has become like Muzak.
you could be right there.
They are. I mean, you haven't heard from Chris Martin and those guys in 10 years.
Well, I mean,
unless you're a hardcore Coldplay fan, and I'm not.
Well, I mean, there's just obviously, if for nothing else, I mean, okay. Now, I'm not going to say I feel bad for those two because you get what you deserve in that
true.
situation. If you're dumb enough to cheat on your spouse and do it in public. With 20,000 people, then you got exactly what you deserved.
Right. It just so happens, I'm the CEO of a billion-dollar company,
right.
And you're the HR.
Yeah, just a nightmare all the way around. But man, has it fueled some awesome memes and a lot of comedy. I mean, my favorite thing I saw coming out of that was like, can you imagine having that be the way you find out that your significant other is a Coldplay fan?
Oh, wow. The one I liked was Coldplay hasn't had a single in years, and tonight they've got two.
Yeah, that's just
they're suddenly single.
Just crazy, man. Social media, and the thing is, had they just stood there and let the camera linger on them for a second and not acted all crazy, they would have been fine because nobody would have had any reason to investigate who are these people.
Well, and Chris Martin even called him out. I was like, oh, look at this couple. They're either having an affair or they're very shy.
Yeah,
ouch.
Yeah, that was it. And that got everybody looking. So, whew, man, what a way to have things just go down in flames for both of those people. That's
I forgot you were going to bring Coldplay up.
Yeah, that was kind of nuts. What else we got? Pop culture.
I just wanted to bring up the one. Let me ask you: do you believe in ghosts or any of that stuff?
Man, it's kind of weird. I don't know that I would say definitely yes, but I'll tell a little story. When my wife and I had our first house in Lexington, we were startled awake one night back in the day, we had boom boxes. Mm-hmm. Had a boom box. In this house, we hadn't been in it very long, and we were in the process of doing a lot of remodeling. And one particular bedroom adjacent to our master, we were getting it ready to be a nursery. And in the process of painting and stuff, I had gone in there and plugged in my boom box so that I could listen to some music while I was doing it. Well, fast forward to later that night, we get awakened by just ridiculously loud music coming out of said boombox. And so I get up and go in there. Boombox is unplugged.
Oh!
Boombox does not have batteries.
Are you kidding me?
Not kidding. And the house that we were in at the time was a one-owner home. Prior to us, it was a couple elderly couple who had one child who lived out of state, but those two people, they passed away within about a month of each other, and I still don't know for sure if they passed away in the house, but yes, boombox playing music.
What was the music it was playing?
I can't even remember because
if it was like music that would be akin to them,
that would have definitely been crazy. But yeah, so that's my wife and I both have always been unable to explain that.
And I've got one very, very similar. So my mother was ill, and we knew that we were going to be losing her. And she has a large family with a bunch of brothers and sisters, and we were waiting on one brother to drive in from Florida. And why he drove, I don't know, but he did. And my mom was at home in her house with hospice, and my uncle was driving as fast as he could because I blew him up 3 or 4 times. And my mom, who was drifting in and out of consciousness, at one point she opened her eye like that, and I go, "Mom, he's on his way," because I knew what she was
looking to see if he was
there.
She
couldn't speak,
yeah,
but she opened that one eye, and I thought, okay, she's still with us. So he comes rolling in, and he has like 5 minutes with her before she takes her final breath. But when she does take her final breath, these bells overhead in her attic go off. And we're all mortified because we're like, does she have security or something? And my brother was like, no. And my sister, who lived with her, was like, no. And we all, there was like this calmness that came over us, because I guess it was her way, if you believe this, it was her way of saying, I've reached my destination, everything's good.
Yeah.
Because we all talked about that for a month.
Yeah. There are things that happen.
Anyway, the reason I asked that, go ahead, you can finish.
No, I'm just saying, I think everybody could have something that's just not easily explained away,
Yeah.
And
I don't know that I believe in ghosts, but I believe in something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I believe there are some things that it's really, like you said, hard to explain. The reason I bring it up is because of this Annabelle doll tour.
Right.
Who, if you aren't aware, it's this Raggedy Ann doll that was owned by this family, the Warren family in the Northeast, who bought it for their daughter, who claims it is possessed. It did all kinds of terrible things in the house. And they put it in a glass case, and they said, don't ever let this doll out of this glass case. Well, when they passed on, this doll has been handed down. It's been making the rounds. It went on tour with some guy who hosted a paranormal show, Dan Rivera.
Right. It's a group called the New England Society for Psychic Research.
Yeah.
He's part of that group.
Well, he takes the doll out of the case, right? And he puts it on social media and all this stuff. And I don't know if he was showing off or what he was doing. Anyway, he ends up dead
in his hotel room.
In his hotel room with this doll.
Yeah. Now, I did read that they said the doll was not in the room with him.
Okay.
So somebody was like, that was their first thought. They're like, what has happened? But
because I did see that, and I thought, well, where did the doll go?
Yeah, exactly. She just walked out, apparently.
But
killed him and then walked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, that doll was the inspiration for, there was a series of movies called Annabelle. There were about 3 different ones. And then it was also the inspiration for
The Conjuring.
Mm-hmm. And now, granted, because of trademark issues, they couldn't make the doll look like Raggedy Ann. So they definitely made it more sinister looking.
Very much scary.
But anyway, if you'd like to see the Annabelle doll, and you're in our neck of the woods in October 17th through the 19th at Lexington Scarefest.
Are you serious?
The Annabelle doll will be there.
She's already
It'll
killed
be
one
on
person.
tour. So yeah, if you'd like the chance to piss her off and get yourself unalived, yeah, you could do that. But yeah, it's actually going to be in Lexington. So
yeah,
interesting, kind of crazy. And I don't know if they'll release that dude's autopsy results or what. I mean, I'm sure
be curious.
He's 54 years old. He probably
come on now.
He had a heart attack like us. I mean, that's that can happen.
She probably helped him
at any point. Yeah, she probably walked in and scared the crap out of him, and he had a heart attack. So anyway, so yeah, we so music wise, I went to see Beck Monday night in Cincinnati. Beck with the Cincinnati Symphony Orchestra. It's only been 23 years since I saw Beck the last time.
Wow.
Which at that point he was with the Flaming Lips, and I said at that point it was the best concert I'd ever seen. Now, granted, I didn't have a whole lot of stuff to compare to because I just wasn't the concert goer that I am now. So it was kind of fun to go to that show Monday night and realize that now Beck still puts on one of the best shows I've ever seen. The music with full orchestration was amazing. Obviously, he drew pretty heavily from 2 albums that he has that I call his, In Your Feels albums. I mean, the Sea Change album, which was the album I saw him tour behind in 2002, has a lot of really moody stuff that lends itself very well to a full orchestra. And then he had another kind of moody but slightly more up-tempo album several years later called Morning Phase. So those 2 albums were pretty heavy from the material standpoint, but great show, man. And I had never been to crazy enough, is all the concerts I've been to, I'd never been to Riverbend, which this wasn't in the big Riverbend Pavilion where like Jimmy Buffett played and all that kind of thing. It's they've got a smaller venue that holds about 4,500 people. So, yeah, it was a good show. I mean, it was packed, and he seemed to be very comfortable, very personable. I think he enjoyed the interaction with the crowd. The crowd was very responsive to the music.
And he had his own band too, right?
He had his own band there off to the side that played along with the orchestra to add a little extra oomph. They had the traditional drum kit, a bass player, and that kind of thing. And Beck, he kind of oscillated back and forth between a acoustic and an electric, and had a couple of backup singers, I think, in there. But it was a lot of fun. I mean, I think I got the feel that the orchestra enjoyed what they're doing. The director, the conductor, he was really into it. But it was good. I mean, they were very good, and he seemed to be appreciative of what they were doing. I mean, he, for the most part, obviously on a tour like this, he's going to city, playing with these various orchestras, and so I'm sure he sends them ahead of time scores of.
Yeah.
The pretty much here's what the set list is going to be like. And for the most part, the set list, I had been looking at those leading up to the show, so I kind of had a feel for what he was going to play. He threw in a couple surprises that he hadn't done at other shows or hadn't done very many times. So, it was fun to see. And there were parts of it that were pretty emotional. I've not been that attached to particular artists, but I've been a Beck fan for 30 years, and couple that with the fact that I really like symphony and the crescendos of the music as it builds, that kind of thing. So yeah, I mean, it was an experience for sure. I wasn't expecting to feel like I did at certain points in the show.
Cool.
That's for sure. So
yeah, that's
a lot of fun.
I haven't been to a concert recently.
No,
I need to get going.
There's some stuff. There's some stuff percolating in the Lexington area for sure. I'm going to try to get to a couple more. I'd like to get to something maybe with my kids over the next couple weeks before they go back to school, but it'll definitely have to be something not quite on the scale of Beck up there, but there's definitely enough good local music venues. For me, big music thing is I did get the notification today that my new Tyler Childers album had been shipped. So I was pretty excited about that. But here locally, Pop's record store in Lexington, they announced this week that much like they did with Tyler Childers' album about 2 years ago called Take My Hounds to Heaven, they had a special release. Well, they're getting a special release of this new Tyler album, and I was all pumped thinking, yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to get over there and get in line. And then I found out it's $250 a pop, limited to 500.
That's a steep one.
But yeah, it's expensive. It's a liquid vinyl. So it is a clear vinyl that has actual liquid between the layers. So it's like it's like a jelly donut kind of filled.
I can't help but question the quality of the vinyl or the audio.
I've not listened.
I know it's kind of cool. Yeah. I mean, Bon Jovi did it with Slippery When Wet.
Yeah.
With water.
I don't know.
I'm just curious.
It's same. I mean, I completely get it. And, so I'm kind of torn. I don't think they're going to sell out 500 of those on Friday.
That's a lot. Especially 250.
Yeah, that's steep. I got one of the special edition Take My Hounds to Heaven. My wife picked that up for me for Christmas that year, and it's a leather-bound 3 LP box. Really nice. But even that one was only half that. So, yeah, this one, it's expensive. So I'm still debating. The way I'm looking at it is if I swing by there after work on Friday and they've still got them, I may get one.
Yeah, you will.
But I'm doing a record show. I'm setting up to sell at a record show in Louisville on Saturday. So I kind of got that in my back pocket. I'm like, I figure I'll make enough money, but
yeah,
I want to spend all my profit on one from Tyler Childers? I don't know.
You want to tell everybody where you are? Where you're going to be?
What's
in Louisville?
In Louisville?
Yeah.
I'm going to be at the Derby City Music Expo in Louisville. It is on Plant Side Drive, just outside of Hurstbourne Lane and 64 there in Louisville. So it's a pretty fun show. I've set up there a few times over the last couple of years. Always a pretty wide variety of dealers there. I'm definitely one of the smaller ones. I'll take 500 or 600 records with me. There are guys that literally roll in there with 5,000 or 6,000 and set up over multiple tables. I'll be over kind of in the corner with my one little table. But no, I mean, it's just a good way for me to get rid of some things that I've got duplicates of and all that kind of thing. And like I've said here before, support the habit a little bit.
Right.
I typically try to turn my record show profits into more than one album, like I'm thinking about doing here with this Tyler Childers album. But
we're recording on a Wednesday. This should probably be up by Friday.
Yeah. So the show is on Saturday. Like I said, you can look up Derby City Music Expo on Facebook. I think it's maybe $5 to get in or something like that. But it's a good time. There's a really wide variety of music genres represented at that show. You can get everything from sealed new release stuff to sealed vintage things. Really expensive. You can spend $1 for a record, or you can spend $300-$400 for a record. So it kind of depends on what you're into. So
it's fun to go and look for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of was in a little bit of a slump with buying over the last month or so with all the stuff I've had going on at the house, but I did get out last week and look around a little bit and picked up a few things, and I've got a handful of things on order. I've got the Billy Strings live at the Legion from last year down in Tennessee. He recorded that show. Robert Plant, Saving Grace, new album. It was just announced this week, which I'm still debating maybe trying to get tickets to go see one leg of or part of the American United States leg of that tour. He's opening it up in Wheeling, West Virginia.
Wow.
Because the first place I looked at, I'm trying to think what city it was in, but tickets were $400-$500 range, and I was just like, not gonna pay that. And looked at Wheeling, West Virginia, which actually is the closest geographically to us. It's about 4.5 hours, and there are tickets there for $100-$150. So that might be potentially,
and he may add
more,
some shows,
more doable. Yeah, and that's my other thing. It's like I don't know that I want to pull the trigger on a show 5 hours away, and then have him turn around and say, "Oh yeah, we're going to come to Louisville."
Yeah,
which Robert Plant has played in Louisville several times now. He likes Louisville, so kind of keep my fingers crossed that maybe they'll do that. I did buy tickets.
He's another one who's not getting any younger.
Right. I'd love to see him again. I'd love to see him one more time, and not necessarily in the realm of his collaboration with Alison Krauss, even though I love her. I did buy tickets this past week to see Bela Fleck and the Flecktones. They're coming to Cincinnati up in, I think it's October, November, something like that. Anyway, but it's the first time in like 20 plus years that the original lineup has been together. And if you're a music nerd for sure, you need to look up the Flecktones bassist, Victor Wooten. The dude is just on a different level, playing the bass. You think bass, but go watch some videos of Victor playing the bass, and you'll be convinced. But anyway, all right. What else? What else you got? Anything?
I got
Food?
nothing when it comes to music. I got nothing.
Got any
I
food?
bought my 8 last week.
Yeah. He bought
or
some
2 weeks
records
ago.
That's right,
it
a couple
was.
weeks ago.
Yeah.
Did you go? I got a couple fun places I went to eat. Did you do anything there?
Not really. Had some Galvin's. Can't
go wrong at Galvin's. Galvin's good.
Is good.
Good
Galvin's
pub
is
grub.
here in Georgetown. Had the Philly cheese.
That's kind of my go-to there. Their Philly cheesesteak, I like it a lot.
I do too.
I went and watched the final round, or at least first half of the final round of the Open. I went for brunch out to Country Boy here in Georgetown and hit up the kitchen.
The original.
There. Yeah, the sausage burrito they had was pretty awesome, and I was pretty excited. I'll throw up some pictures of one of my favorite beers the Country Boy has ever brewed. It's called the Ghost Goza, and the Goza is a particular old school traditional style beer from several hundred years ago in Germany. originally they were a very salty type beer. They've kind of migrated a little bit. More modern styles are lead a little bit more sour than salty. But I think Country Boy does a pretty good hybrid of the traditional Goza with the more modern Goza. But anyway, it's one of my favorite beers they've ever done. I'm probably virtually alone in that sentiment, but I was excited to see it on the board. So if you're going to drink beer with your breakfast, that was a good one to have with my sausage burrito. And then before the Beck show the other night, I naturally sought out the closest brewery to the venue, and I found one that I had been wanting to check out for a while. It's called Wandering Monsters. And the head brewer and one of the co-founders of the brewery, he has spent some time at some of the breweries in Lexington, so I, kind of wanted to show them some support. Plus, they've got a really cool logo. We'll throw something up to show what they look like. But I got I went healthy. I got loaded fries with pulled pork, and had a flight of beer. And their beers were solid. Their IPAs were good. The sour, I would have liked the sour to have a little bit more punch. If I'm going to drink a sour beer, I want it to punch me in the face. And this one was good. It was fruity, but it didn't have quite that bite that I was looking for. But otherwise, the beers were all very good. And then today, for lunch, I had one of my. I take my lunch to work almost every day.
Yeah.
I take leftovers. I'll eat leftovers, or I'll make a sandwich or whatever. But I had taken my lunch, but then one of my coworkers, he kind of peer pressured me. And I ended up getting a sandwich of this special today from South of Wrigley. And South of Wrigley is a sandwich shop over in Lexington. And these guys do Chicago-style sandwiches unlike
Hence
anybody
the Wrigley.
else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so today's special was it was called the Roast and Dollop. And it was their words, rare roast beef, horseradish, spinach fondue over with oven-dried tomatoes, marinated artichokes, and red onions. And this thing was about a foot long. It had roughly 10 pounds of roast beef on it. It should have been served with I don't know, a package of like wet wipes or something, and maybe a bib, because I was eating it and I had it almost literally running down my elbows. So thankfully there weren't many people in the break room to witness the carnage that was going on there. But I will say the hype over South of Wrigley is real. If you are anywhere near Lexington and can get over there for a sandwich, those guys know what they're doing, and
That's cool.
They're pretty inventive with their daily specials too. So they're always throwing up something. And I say daily special. What they'll do is like last week, I think they did one I saw that was like a Korean pork, with gochujang, like a spicy gochujang sauce, and they had enough to do 2 or 3 days worth of that sandwich. So they know it's going to be popular, they know it's going to sell out,
Yeah.
so they try to bring in enough to do a few
Very
days.
cool.
So yeah, definitely recommend that. I'm kind of pumped because this weekend, Saturday, I've got Emily and I reservations at Favor Kitchen in Lexington, which is just this tiny little restaurant on the backside of a really cool arcade. It's a bar called Arcadium, but it's tough to get into this place. He only has about 18 seats, and most of those, ours included, are at the bar where you watch them cook. And
That's cool.
And I'm going. I don't know. He changes his menu based on what's available. But he always has a burger and fries, and that's, I feel like I have tried all of the other best burgers in Lexington. This one's the last one to check off my list, so I don't even need a menu when I get there Saturday. I know what I'm going to order. Hopefully my wife can find something she'll eat. Otherwise, she's probably going to be kind of pissed that I took our Saturday, and that's where we're going. But I don't have any doubt. Wyatt Sarbacker's the owner, the chef over there, and he knows what he's doing, so I know he'll come through for my wife. I know he'll come through for me with a good burger, but we'll see. We'll report back on that next week.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So anyway, tonight we're drinking. I don't think Steve's tried it yet. He may not like it because he's not a huge IPA fan. But I went old school. I got in the DeLorean and picked up a Headhunter from Fatheads Brewery. They're out of Ohio. This is a beer that back in the day we couldn't get it in the Lexington area, and then I would oftentimes pick it up in Cincinnati when I would go to a place called Jungle Jim's. And if you've never been to Jungle Jim's grocery store in Cincinnati, then you're missing out. You can make it a full day of going to Jungle Jim's.
My daughter just went there last weekend.
Yeah,
And she said it is ginormous.
It's like the amusement park of grocery stores. That's what it is. But yeah, I used to pick up Fatheads stuff all the time up there. But this one, Headhunters, is just a classic old school IPA, citrusy, not super hoppy. It's not just super biting or anything like that. But sometimes it's nice just to go back to an older style IPA that doesn't have a bunch of garbage thrown into it. It's it's not hazy. It's not that I don't like hazies, but no, I like this beer a lot. And so when I saw it this afternoon, I was like, I'm going to grab a 6-pack of that and kind of see if it holds up. And I think it does. I mean, I was a little bit concerned because I'm kind of a nerd. If you don't date, if you're a brewery and you don't date your packaging so that I know when this beer was made, I'm not going to buy it. And this one was a little bit out of my comfort zone. I think it was canned a little bit over 3 months ago, but still pretty solid. So I'd give this one probably an 8 out of 10 on the scale of at least what I thought it should taste like and how it does taste. So still pretty good.
It's not bad.
I'm going to get him to come around eventually on IPAs. He's going to be craving the hops before all is said and done. But anyway, I think that's I think we're about done. Good Lord, we've been talking forever. We said we had a lot to cover tonight, and we covered all kinds of stuff. And if you happen to stumble on us on either YouTube or any of the other platforms,
there is video associated with this.
Yeah, if YouTube, if you happen to want to look at us.
We're still working on the Facebook.
Yeah, we're still working on that.
He's got other priorities.
Yeah, I got a few priorities. But anyway, we're hoping to eventually get it to the point where maybe you can share it with some friends. I may try to snag a clip out of this one and throw it up on Facebook and see.
And you can find us anywhere you find podcasts, on Spotify and all the other.
Pharmacist and the Photog.
Yeah.
Like I said before, we've got quite a few episodes up out there now. Focus on the last
31.
15 or so.
We were still trying to figure it out.
We got a little bit better, I think, but we still have a tendency to ramble like we've done tonight. So we'll call it a close here, and hopefully we'll have some more fun stuff to talk about next week. But until then, get out there, watch some sports, whatever you choose, listen to some good music, and try to support your local restaurants and breweries. And until then, we'll see you next time.